Slammin' stand number 10 from sunny Southern California, where the eucalyptus heat serves as both toxin, TikTok, antioxidant, where Lord Krishna skateboards, where Jesus Christ hangs pens, where Buddha goes hang gliding with the greatest of ease. We have it all, babies, from poppies to pot to cactus to pine forests, from surf to forest to Johnny Legend, who you just heard doing the most unique take on Pencil Neck Geek. Alfredo, thank you so much for that Johnny Legend cut there.
Yeah, and that's the first intro music we could actually continue playing for like the longest period of time.
Oh, that is bitchin'.
Problems. Actually, we could always play the Negro Casas all the time too. So
we could play that one too. Now, if we could just convince Negro Casas to come to Southern California and do a concert with Johnny Legend. Could you just picture Johnny Legend doing his rockabilly shtick while Negro Casas does the Cuatro Cuarenta dances?
There you go.
That would be it. It don't get more bitchin' than that.
Well, Kurt, before we get to all the news, you attended the comedy show here in L.A. with Mick, Foley, and Colt Cabana.
Yes, I went to the Improv for the first time since 1984 when I went to see Larry Bud Melman of David Letterman fame.
Oh.
Yes, it had been 25 years. So,
we talked about this during the actually we've been talking about this since Saturday and how nobody wanted to go with you, right?
That's right. Well, there's probably they would have loved to have gone to see Mick Foley. I don't think they wanted to go with me. That's all it is.
Or go see Colt Cabana, actually, you know.
Yes.
So,
I went there. I had me a Blue Moon, and after my Blue Moon, I sat and sipped coffee all night. 5 stand-up comics, and I'm going to look thoroughly unprofessional here, which I am quite proud of, because the only 2 actual names I remember were the opening act, which was Colt Cabana, and the main event, which was Mick Foley. In between them were 3 other stand-ups who were actually quite good.
Uh-huh.
And so it's thoroughly unprofessional that I forgot their names.
Well, I'm sure their names are mentioned on whatever website.
They were on the lineup, and I really should have written them down. I should have known that I'd probably want to talk about this on Slam and Stan. Hey, I almost said Stan and Slam again. First time since the first episode.
Well, I called it Slam and Stanley, so it's no big deal.
That's good. Slam and Stanley Laurel and Oliver Hardy.
So how was Colt Cabana?
Well.
You don't want to say anything bad now, huh?
His presence...
He might listen to it. It might get back to him.
He has a great presence. He is very confident up there. He just needs better material.
Oh.
Well, it worked. The reason it worked okay was because there were enough wrestling fans there that he got enough laughs where it didn't bomb. Because virtually all his humor was related to his stint in the WWE.
So just him whining.
Yeah, essentially it was.
Yeah, a whine.
Now, it got funny when he started making the humor a little more self-deprecating.
Uh-huh.
The first, how long was he on? I'd say he was on for 10 to 15 minutes. And a lot of it was just talking about what assholes his childhood heroes turned out to be, what sluts all the divas are. Lillian Garcia is a whore. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that makes me more proud of them. They get the Annie Sprinkle Award.
Yeah, what's the whole point of them being there?
Yeah, exactly. Annie Sprinkle is the first real woman, in my opinion, to give the word slut a good name, to try to angelicize it instead of demonize it.
Did he mention Dusty Rhodes or anything? Or
he did not mention Dusty Rhodes. He came on stage wearing his Scotty Goldman jacket, took it off and said, "Worst investment I ever made." And it got enough laughs where you knew that there were some hardcore wrestling fans in there because nobody else would have understood that line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there were no wrestling fans in there, this thing would have bombed it big time.
Did you see any celebrities there, or?
Christy Canyon.
Oh, so you did see her.
Yes, she's just as lovely as she's ever been. And who was it? Nikki Hunter, who I guess I'm showing my age and lack of modern pop culture knowledge. Nikki Hunter, who I guess is one of the Playboy girls, one of the many blondes.
Or you know you've seen her in porn.
Nah, never. Now, Christy Canyon I've seen in porn. Christy Canyon was there because she's a friend of Mick Foley's.
Huh.
And even better, Mick Foley did a hysterical storytelling sequence about when he and his wife Colette were trying to conceive another baby, and they were doing it so much that he just couldn't do it anymore. So they popped in a Christy Canyon porn, and suddenly his wife started doing things like Christy Canyon, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm doing Christy Canyon." And obviously I can't do the routine justice since nobody can spin a story like Mick Foley. But Foley was great. Cabana, if he actually worked on writing some funny material, I could picture him really going over well. Foley, wonderful storyteller. It was a good mix of storytelling and humor. In fact, Dan Farron, when I was telling him about it, he asked me, okay, is this like punchline humor or storytelling humor? And storytelling humor is exactly what it is. There's stories that will stick with you, that leave an impression on you, will crack you up, and I think he's taking this on the road. I highly recommend people going out of their way to seeing it. He went around 30 minutes, and he could have done another 30 minutes before people got tired of him. The wrestling fans and the non-wrestling fans dug him.
Oh, okay. But you don't want to bring up Adam Pearce being at the show?
I always want to bring up Adam Pearce at the show because God bless him. When I go up and say Adam Pearce, he remembers that I am Lucky Pierre.
You don't want to bring up the conversation or anything, right?
Oh, now you're misbehaving, Alfredo.
You're
misbehaving,
right?
yes. Yeah, no. Well, we're only going so far here.
Well, I guess we could talk about the big news that just came on right now about Rey Mysterio getting suspended for 30 days.
Wellness policy.
Yeah. So what do you think it is, pot or steroids?
It could be either or.
Or both.
Either or both. I don't even know what to say. It sucks because it happening to one of the really good guys in the business.
Yeah, but still, it's not like they're going to fire him or anything. I think he's.
I hope not. If they fired Rey Mysterio, I'd probably stop watching WWE. Although I'm not watching it that much in the first place. But I would actually cold turkey just stop watching it if they fired somebody like him. If it's for marijuana, I'm sorry. Okay. No, I don't smoke. Rarely do I spark the owl. But for the love of God, let's legalize this shit, goddammit. This is not the evil weed they're talking about. There are so many wonderful things about marijuana. You motherfucking cocksuckers out there, legalize this shit. I can't get over the number of people who just do shot after shot after shot, or just...
Or what is it, the steroids and everything, and they're not doing anything about it. Well, I mean, steroids they are because of the baseball thing. I think that's the only reason they're going after steroids, because of baseball.
Yeah, the baseball thing kind of put it on the map. In fact, I don't know the details, but I read a headline saying that a lot of the baseball verdicts, not the verdicts, what's the word I'm looking for? Man, my vocabulary is going out the window every time.
Or do you mean the suspensions or just the court proceedings and all that?
There were a lot of secret testimonials that the baseball players made, and then they were released. Well, the court, I believe, today ruled that was unconstitutional, that they got released.
Yeah, it is.
Which I think was a good call, because when I heard that story break before, that was the first thing that went into my head is, wait a minute, they did these in secret, it sounds legally binding. Why all of a sudden is it okay to just, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I figured just 30 days. It's not that big a deal.
That's not bad. Yeah, it's not like he's going to be out for the rest of the year. I go on terrible illiterate rants when you bring up issues like marijuana. It's the most ridiculous drug. There's a lot of really scary drugs out there. There's methamphetamines, there's heroin, easily accessible, and they're still putting all this money into trying to burn the marijuana fields.
Yeah.
For the love of God, light up, people. The senior citizens are who we should start with. Senior citizens need to start smoking pot or eating pot brownies. They need to loosen up, get that whole stigma out of their heads, and then it would get rid of all that arthritic pain. Arthritic pain we will all get when we're senior citizens. Jesus Christ.
Kurt, you know what we need to do? When we talk about pot, we should do a simulcast with Rob Van Dam's podcast.
Oh, that would be sweet. That would be the pinnacle of our careers.
We should just bring in his feed for our podcast.
Now, if I could just burst out in a literate rant the way Jim Cornette did on Tommy Fierro's show a few months back, I would be I'd be spelling it out a lot better than I am. I wish I was more eloquent in my speech.
Have you ordered his book or anything? Cornette's book?
No, and I'm going to. I keep putting it off, and I don't know why I am, because after that rant he did on Tommy Fierro shows, Jim Cornette is one of my heroes.
Yeah, I just ordered it, I think a couple of days ago.
You know what? In fact, even while we're talking now, since I'm sitting here at the computer, I'm going to have to go to his webpage and...
Yeah, you got to print out the invoice. It's got his face on. It's got a stamp.
Oh, no way.
With his face on a Cornette Collectibles. I mean, that alone, you should have him autograph that.
Oh, that would be sweet.
So basically, the big news, the other news is the anniversary card, the lineup came out for CMLL.
And I take it one is the hair versus mask between Negro Casas and
who do you
Mistico?
got? Yeah, who do you got? Mistico or Negro Casas?
Oh, gee, that's a really tough one. I got to scratch my head on that one. Man, okay, I put my money on Casas every time he wrestled Hijo de Santo in a spit match. I lost each time. Nah, Casas is going to do it this time. I just know
I don't know, Kurt. I don't know. He's on a roll.
He is on a roll.
You never know. They could actually pull a surprise like last year.
And I'm also edgy because, God bless him, Steve Sims sent the August 22nd CMLL Peste Negra match, and I wasn't able to get it properly downloaded.
Yeah, and I can't get his Lover Ice. It's an upload from Lover Ice, and I can't get it to work.
And I'm frustrated because, first off, thank you so much, Steve Sims, for sending us these CMLL links, and thank you for rocking our show last week. That was such a blast, episode 9.
It should be on his YouTube page, on Lover Ice's YouTube page.
I will have to check it out because, man, I am getting the shakes. I need my CMLL fix. I've
been watching a lot, though.
Have you seen a lot of CMLL?
Well, I have to go through a bunch of different CMLL DVDs. I won't mention more about it because it's a lot of work.
Okay, gotcha.
It's going to be a pain in the butt to be going through it, but anyways, it's a lot of stuff, and I've been going through it. So let's get back to the anniversary show.
Okay, the anniversary show. What else is up besides the major stip match?
So we got the major stip match, which is Mistico versus Negro Casas. The semi is going to be Mexico versus Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically going to have Black Warrior, Hector Garza, Shocker, Ultimo Guerrero versus Jushin Liger, Naito, Shigeo Okamura, and Yujiro.
Damn.
Which, Okamura. Okamura, have you seen Okamura?
No, I have not.
You haven't seen him? He's basically a guy who's always been he's basically a guy who should be in the mid-card, not in a semi-main event or main event match, and he's working semi-main event because he's Japanese, pretty much.
Oh, gotcha. Well, at least it's in, what is it, a 10-man tag? 8-man tag?
It's an 8-man. I hope
so
it's an elimination.
that's not too shabby. I mean, seriously, just with Jushin Liger in there and folks like Hector Garza and Black Warrior, just those two main events, man, I'd be tempted to catch a plane out to Mexico on the 21st.
Yeah, I think they're going to do, off of that, they're going to lead up into a stip match with Black Warrior and Yujiro.
Very cool.
So that should be interesting also. And the next match will be the Los Hijos de Averno versus Máscara, La Sombra, and Volador Jr.
Oh, excellent. Now, Sombra
match.
is one guy I've heard a lot of really wonderful things about, and I really have seen almost nothing of his.
Basically, you haven't seen anybody beyond Negro Casas.
I haven't.
Right?
I got to tell you, I've been so punch drunk on the trio of Mr. Niebla, Negro Casas, and Felino that I really want to start catching up with all the other folks in CMLL.
You have to watch the minis division, man. That's a
good.
Really good. You got to watch the minis.
Yeah, this is the biggest craving I've had for lucha since I was rebitten by the bug back in 1989.
And then there's the opening match is a women's match and the minis match, and in between there's another. there's a Poder Chica who's going to be wrestling three. You know, they have Hijo de Fantasma, Máscara Dorada, and Sagrado, but I think they could have picked a better trio. It's kind of like one of those throw-ins. You know,
not too shabby still.
Yeah, it's a really good card. Really
seriously, I'm almost tempted. We should hitch a plane.
Now we have to figure out if it's going to be a pay-per-view or just a TV taping. Which I'm guessing it's probably going to be I'm guessing it's going to be a TV taping right now. Like, you know, one of those things where they film it, like down the road they'll show it.
Another thing I'm very ignorant of, pay-per-view in Mexico. How does that fly?
Well, it's only on, I think right now it's only on Sky TV.
Okay.
Network. So I don't know. It's not that big. I mean, you can't really find guys who will record it, basically. So I'm guessing a lot of people don't get it.
Okay, but hopefully you'll be getting a copy.
Yeah.
Either way.
Hopefully.
Cool.
And the other announcement is that Shocker has introduced a new guapo.
Ah.
His name, Jon Strongman.
Oh my God, tell us more.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. I'm hoping you know what I'm hoping? Because apparently this guy's some muscle guy. I'm hoping, I kind of was hoping it was that one, remember that documentary from a couple of years ago? With,
the one I've heard so much about and never saw.
Yeah, and there was this one guy with, like, these really huge muscles. Did you ever see that guy who used to sell steroids in Florida?
No.
No, you never saw that guy?
I don't think so. Wait, now where else has he been featured?
He's been featured, like, I think on one of those documentaries in that World's Strongest, the man with the exploding arms.
Oh, the man Greg Valentino.
Yeah, that guy.
Valentino, the man whose arms exploded.
Yeah. My
God.
I wanted him to be the new guapo. What did you say?
Oh, that would be hysterical.
Because you would just be wondering, when are his arms going to explode? When are his arms going to explode?
Oh, could you imagine the angles you could do off that?
Seriously, I mean, as bad as the matches would be. Just throw him in there for like 2 minutes.
We could have Johnny Legend be his manager and draw battle plans on each bicep.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of like how football in the locker room beforehand they'll show the films and draw the game plans on the chalkboard. We'll have Johnny Legend just drawing the game plans on his biceps, and that would be so cool. Greg Valentino. Oh man, if anybody has not seen the documentary, The Man Whose Arms Exploded, whether you're fascinated by the whole steroid culture or not, this is a freak show documentary you have to see.
When I first heard that, and I think it was Discovery, wasn't it, or TLC?
I forget which one it was. I had it on my DVR for the longest time because I watched it twice. It was too good to watch only once.
They're both the same thing, isn't it? TLC's owned by Discovery or something?
I have no earthly idea.
Well, I remember when I first heard the name of the show, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's arms. Because I don't know if you've ever seen like those other shows they'll do, like the man with the largest tumor or whatever. Or all these other things.
I've never heard of those.
it always, or the man with no face or whatever, or they always come up with these weird titles, and you're like, oh my god, this got to be like the most disgusting thing. So when I read that the guy's arms exploded, I'm like, oh my god, seriously, I'm going to pass out. But then you watch it, and it's nothing. It's just that the guy's arms are ridiculous. You know, they're bigger than his body. You know?
Ridiculously huge, and then it's worth checking out. Yeah, Greg Valentino.
I just hope that would be cool if it was that guy.
Yeah, that was the other interesting sighting is at the Mick Foley comedy show. That's the other celebrity I saw. I was sitting on a stool, for two, sitting by myself, and some guy motions, like, is this other seat taken? And I shake my head. He sits there, didn't recognize him, and then after the show, I see somebody talking to this cat, and it's saying, I love the film, and man, I'm really sorry to hear about your brother. And it dawned on me, this was the guy who did Bigger, Faster, Stronger.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So,
I'm already forgetting his name.
Yeah, you never saw the documentary, so you wouldn't know who he was.
I saw the documentary.
I thought you said you didn't.
Bigger, Faster, Stronger? Yeah, I saw that.
You said you didn't watch it.
No, I must have been lying to you.
Yeah, you just said it a couple minutes ago. Let me rewind.
Wait. I thought. Wait.
Because I said I didn't remember the name of the show, or the documentary.
I thought you were referring to another documentary.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, am I hazy tonight or what? That's more pro-dope propaganda here. I am not stoned. I have not been stoned in many months. And I'm already in this terrible narcoleptic haze. That's what sobriety will do for you, folks.
Are you sure you were talking to Adam Pearce and not like Barry Darsow or something?
Oh man. Bigger, Faster, Stronger. Now, have you seen Bigger, Faster, Stronger?
Yeah, I have. That's where I got the guy who did that document. Remember, he shows up. The guy who they did the documentary about for the world's strongest, the biggest exploding arms or whatever.
Okay. Yes.
He was on there like for a couple of minutes towards the end, because I think he's a longtime friend of his or something.
Yeah, I mean, sounds very wrapped up in the steroid culture, and I had conflicting thoughts on Bigger, Faster, Stronger. It got rave reviews as, being a very balanced, taking neither pro nor con side. Where I disagree with that is, I think they made some really excellent points. The way the evil of steroids and the damage it can do have been way overplayed in the same way pot was back in the Reefer Madness film days.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the 1980s, doctors who obviously had not done much study on anabolic steroids were saying how, it's going to give you cancer, it's going to, give you boils. And I'm sure there are some negatives, but they really did overplay them. And they overplayed them before there were any, really good studies done on them. And to that matter, there really haven't been any thorough studies done on the effect of anabolic steroids.
Well, I think because everybody assumes it's in wrestling, and that's what they're dying from. But what they always forget is that wrestlers, they don't. Most of them don't just do steroids.
Oh, jeez, yeah. There's a lot of things wrestlers die from.
Painkillers, somas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are. I mean, prescription drugs are killing, people a lot more than steroids are. Yeah. Now I do think there are probably. Do I think there's probably, some harm doing steroids if you're doing them out of control, like a lot of people are? Yes, I mean they will enlarge your heart.
Yeah.
Well, the area where I say the documentary I don't think was thoroughly balanced was, even though I agreed with a lot of their points, whenever they showed somebody who felt that steroids were harmful, they made the people look as buffoonish as they can. Actually, they didn't have to make them, look. Like when they talked to Henry Waxman, I mean, the guy looks so clueless. Here he is on a crusade, against anabolic steroids, and he doesn't know squat about them. But whenever they interviewed people who were pro-steroid, the people always came off looking as eloquent, well-spoken.
I wonder if he would redo it again. Like after his, because I mean his brother passed away. So
his brother passed away, although his brother passed away, from what I heard, he was in rehab and he was trying to get high from spraying. What's it that?
That mist, isn't it? Like that.
Yeah, the stuff you clean your computer keyboards. Boy, am I sounding literate tonight or what?
Compressed air.
Compressed air. Yeah, he people spray that up their nose to get high because they think it's nothing but air, but it can actually kill you instantly.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's like the latest thing now with kids. Yeah,
and it is dangerous. It's no urban myth. When it kills people, it kills them in a flash. I mean, they die.
I don't know why they do that.
From what I understand, that's how he passed away.
Oh. That's kind of a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, but I don't know if his stance on steroids has changed at all. Probably not. I mean, I don't think the documentary sucked. I thought it was very well done, and I thought it brought up some really great points of hypocrisy on, how they're trying to, rid sports of steroids because it destroys a competitive edge, yet there's, no complaint if an athlete in another sport gets laser surgery on his eyes to make his vision better,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good points they took out, but I don't think it was quite as balanced as everybody makes it out to be. Very good, but a little, squatting towards the pro side. I used to be very anti-steroids. Now I really don't give a fuck. I really don't.
Speaking of steroids, we have two Grondas now in AAA.
Yes. Tell us the story. This is fascinating. And along with two Grondas, who do we have at their side?
Well, first of all, we have to talk about the rumor going around that Oriental might have left AAA.
Yes.
So he's rumored to be independent now. But AAA, I don't think AAA's confirmed it yet. But that's
independent.
He's going independent. Going to start.
Wow.
He's probably going to start running his own shows too, just like everybody else. Super Calo, Juventud Guerrera, Hijo del Perro.
Where does he think he is? Southern California?
I mean, if you think about it, here in the U.S., you don't have a lot of wrestlers actually running independent. It's actually just fans running the independent shows.
That's true, actually, but it does seem like everybody and their brother is running something.
Yeah. Well, I'm unless he found like a money mark to run in. Well, actually, his family runs independent shows in Mexico. Oriental. Remember his family's.
Maybe he'll just be hanging with them then.
Yeah, and probably doing his own bookings or whatever.
Yeah. Wow.
Didn't Chikara have a bad experience with him?
I did not hear about this. What was the bad experience?
I think Mark just brought that up, didn't he, last time he was on?
I'm sorry?
Mark Colt brought that up.
Did he bring up Oriental specifically?
Yeah, I think he no-showed one of their shows once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember him bringing up wrestlers in general who could... I didn't remember Oriental. I remember the one luchador I think of who has the worst rep for no-showing with indie promoters is Fishman.
And the most recent one is Shocker, too. So.
Yes, I have heard about Shocker.
Shocker, no-showing. He's got a lot of people in L.A. who don't... in the California area who wouldn't book him.
Wrestlers making friends everywhere they go.
There you go. And he's supposedly going independent. And Esther Moreno's back in AAA.
That's what I was referring to. Esther Moreno, who I thought is back in her days in All Japan Women in the early 90s, I thought was one of the greatest baby faces, one of the most underrated baby faces.
Have you seen her recently?
No, I have not.
Okay, then you'll be shocked.
So more enhancements?
Yep, very, very, very much so.
So, the best big boob baby face in the world.
There you go. I guess she's gonna be a baby face, so I have no idea. I have no idea if she's even gonna stick around for the long run. So. Yeah,
I just remember in those early 90s, she reminded me of a female Super Astro. Seriously, I remember. I wish I remember what the tag.
Kardashian still does. I won't mention why, but I'm just kidding.
Oh dear.
keep go back. Let's get back on track. What was it?
Okay.
What was it you were saying?
I was just talking about what a bitchin' babyface she was.
Uh-huh.
I remember, I wish I could remember what exactly the tag match was. I think it involved either Bull Nakano or Aja Kong on the other team. I would actually love to dig up and find it because she was doing great traditional babyface comebacks, and at one point juiced in the match.
Wow.
She was juiced during a beatdown and then made one of those great dramatic comebacks where her face is a crimson mask and she's just this big ball of rage making her comeback. And I thought, damn,
now,
they don't make wrestlers like this anymore. And this was 1991, and I was saying they don't make wrestlers like this anymore. Plus, I had never seen a woman who was that strong of a baby face. I mean, who had the whole art down.
Is there like a specific spot where the women blade? Because you know how guys always get the forehead.
That's what Esther got.
Yeah, not like a little higher up, or is it just the same place?
I think it's the same place. Well, there's different things you can do with blading. I think some wrestlers almost like that badge of honor to have the scars.
Uh-huh.
So if you blade up and down, vertically.
But I can't imagine a woman really wanting that.
No. Well, that's the thing is if you blade side to side,
uh-huh,
there's less chance of there being a scar.
Oh, okay.
One guy who loved to bleed like a pig, and I bring him up almost every show, was Dr. Jerry Graham. And he would gig from temple to temple like he was a can opener.
Ugh.
But he had very little scar tissue. And I think it had something to do with him bleeding side to side. Plus, he wouldn't gig very deep.
Oh, okay.
I think he did that thing where he would hold his breath and it looked really gory when he bled.
Like forced it out, basically.
Yes, but he still had baby soft skin. I mean, there was some evidence of gigging, but nothing like the Sheik.
That just sounds funny the way you said it.
Baby soft skin. If that
baby soft skin.
Believe it or not, Dr. Jerry Graham, after years of drinking and drugging and having fights with cops, still had baby soft skin in his,
Kurt, I just have a vision of a young Kurt Brown rubbing Dr. Jerry Graham's head. Stop saying baby soft skin from now on.
You know what the greatest part about Dr. Jerry Graham gigging was?
What?
Was afterwards he would not wash it off.
That's fair.
We, in Bakersfield one night, he was wrestling, no, he wasn't wrestling, he was managing Mike York, the Alaskan, who was wrestling Woody Farmer. And the doc decided he would just change the finish in the middle of the match. So he walks into the ring when Woody Farmer had a rest hold on Mike York. The doc comes in and takes off his shoe and starts beating Woody Farmer over the head with it. And Farmer is selling it, but Farmer looks a lot more confused than hurt. And then Ron Starr and Al Perez hit the ring. This was, Al Perez of, Mid-South fame when he was just starting out.
Oh.
Ron Starr hit the doc on the forehead once, just one punch. Uh-huh. Doc whips out a blade, slits himself temple to temple. They rip his shirt off, and he's wearing a thermal undershirt under it. Because it was very cold. It was wintertime, and it was very cold.
Uh-huh.
When we left that night, Doc didn't clean up any of the blood. He didn't have an extra shirt, so we drove home. He was just dressed in his dress pants and his thermal undershirt, which was also caked with blood. To top that off, he said, after we dropped off the other wrestlers, we were taking him back to his hotel in downtown L.A., and he says, "Come on, boys, let's go to the pantry," which was the steakhouse that the wrestlers always frequented, owned by Richard Reardon.
Uh-huh.
He said, "I'm treating." So we walked into the pantry with Doc with all this dry blood all over him and a thermal undershirt, and we walk in there. It must have been like 3 a.m, and there's a table of 3 cops sitting there, and I just freeze. I'm going, oh shit. The cops just kind of look at Doc, and they all start just laughing and shaking their heads like there's a good story here.
Did they know him, or did they just...
No, they didn't know him. I think they just saw this big 400-pound man with dry blood on him and a thermal undershirt, and they just started laughing. Plus, he was bleached blonde, too. A 400-pound bleached blonde man wearing a thermal undershirt covered in crimson. And we had breakfast, and...
Crazy.
I would say only in downtown L.A., but I'm sure there's a lot of other regions where something that wacky could happen, and does happen.
I'm pretty sure wherever Dr. Jerry Graham was at any point in his life, something like that happened.
Exactly. Whether he was in Tuba City, Arizona, Paris, Arkansas, or New York City, he made news.
There's a Dr. Jerry Graham story just waiting to come out.
Yes. If you know somebody who knew Dr. Jerry Graham, just ask them for a story, and I'm certain they will have 4 or 5.
You know what I was going to mention? Have you gone to that 57gold.com website?
I have not yet. I have it bookmarked, and I don't know why I haven't, because I have been hearing rave things about it.
Yeah, they just interviewed Buddha Khan.
No way.
Yeah, and I guess he talks about roller games.
He was a manager in the roller games in 1982, if I remember correctly.
Kurt, I think everybody wants to know what's the fascination that you, Dave Meltzer, and all these internet insiders have with roller derby. Well,
even though wrestlers hate to hear this, and roller derby skaters hate to hear this, there are so many parallels between pro wrestling and roller derby. It's essentially the same psychology. Good versus evil. It's just done on a team level rather than
with roller. What is it?
Yeah, well, it's
rollerblades. What is it? Rollerblades?
Not rollerblades. In fact, I'm certain Roller Jam, the most...
Skates.
What's that?
Roller skates.
Yeah, roller skates. That's showing how you and I are from different generations.
Yeah,
I'm like blades.
Yeah.
I think roller skates.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking roller skates. That's why I was having a hard time. I was like, roller skates or roller blades? Or...
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing, because you and I went to several of the L.A. Thunderbird games where Danny Wolf was doing the commentating last year. And through the whole rollerblade phenomenon, they stuck with roller skates.
Yeah.
They never went back. But it's such like pro wrestling, it is such a fascinating subculture. And I think the way roller derby evolved, I only know a thumbnail description of how roller derby evolved, but I find it even more fascinating than the way pro wrestling evolved from gambling and the carnivals. Roller derby started in, I want to say 1935. I mentioned it recently on my webpage. I just forget the specific date. But it was in August in the 1930s.
That's a good way for you to promote your website, mention it.
StanTheEmbryo.com.
Where you learn about rollerblading, roller skating,
That's right.
roller derby, roller skating, and roller games.
Roller derby, roller games. They call it roller games with the LA T-Birds because roller derby is trademarked. But it actually started off as a marathon race between two teams, but the teams were not, full-on teams. Each team consisted of one man and one woman, and they would skate in circles for eons.
It's pretty much like NASCAR.
Yeah, it was a lot like NASCAR. It was actually a race, and from what I understand, or this is how legend goes, it went over gangbusters initially. At one point started losing its steam, and they decided to, make it more of a team sport, a larger team with both men and women, and somehow it evolved into essentially from sport to being a work sport just like wrestling was. And they have the same psychology, of comebacks, near comebacks. And, many different regions where it was promoted. It was huge. And
so where was Dave? Dave was in San Francisco by that time.
He was in San Francisco, and that was where they had roller derby as people like Dave and myself were growing up. Where here in the Southern California area, we had the roller games with the LA T-Birds.
Oh, okay. So they were referred to differently, right? Roller games.
They were referred to differently, and they actually were very different, just in the way regional wrestling back in the day, each region had a very different flavor and feel to it. So did roller derby.
Yeah,
and the difference in Northern California roller derby and Southern California roller games was very similar to the differences in pro wrestling. Roller derby up in Northern California was still portrayed very much like sport, just with a bit of a heel edge to it. Yeah.
It was strong style.
Strong style. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It was strong style.
Southern California was lucha libre.
It was. Southern California, the roller games in Southern California was very much like the roller games. I'm totally botching my
roller jam, right?
Tonight.
It's kind of more like roller jam.
No, roller games was much more like pro wrestling was here in Southern California, because if you watched pro wrestling in the Pacific Northwest in the 1970s, you saw this very raw, hard style, heavy on the blood, guts, and thunder. Now, if you watched wrestling here in L.A., you saw a lot of camp. You saw gimmicks like the wrestling beetle coming out eating raw vegetables on TV. You had Moondog Mayne coming out eating goldfish. You had John Tolos drooling in front of the camera. You had Freddie Blassie straitjacketed and chained to the ring post because he was going so insane he wanted to kill John Tolos. It was very high camp. And roller games was the same way. Roller games would have these stipulation matches where when two skaters were, just had it up to here with each other, they would challenge one another to a match race. And there would be stipulations where the loser of the match race would have to wear a diaper for the rest of the game.
So this is basically Jim Cornette promoted.
Exactly. It was very much like Jim Cornette. Stuff you would never see in Northern California. What were some other stuff? They had a midget mascot.
Oh, there you go.
Who eventually turned heel. It was a lot more villains versus good people, where Northern California, it was subtle villains versus baby faces.
And that is why Dave Meltzer always mentions roller derby.
He does.
Next time people want to piss and moan about him posting a little blurb about somebody passing away or like, some upcoming roller derby game or whatever they're called, you'll know, now you know the reason, the history.
That's the reason. And I have a message to you people out there who bitch and moan about Dave Meltzer posting stuff about a roller skater who recently passed away or there being a resurgence in the roller derby. If you keep bitching about it, people like me, in return, will write Meltzer and insist that he write more about it. So keep up your bitching and whining, assholes. You're the same bastards who want to keep marijuana illegal, aren't you?
For those who don't know, Kurt's the reason Dave started writing about mixed martial arts, right?
That's right.
Am I right?
Well, no. I need to tell Dave to pull back on the martial arts.
Yeah.
Mixed martial arts, Dave, you need to pull back on them. Now, the reason is because mixed martial arts, there's only one reason they exist. If you're trying to get that eternal debate settled, who is the strongest man in the world? Who is the toughest man in the universe? Now, Dr. Jerry Graham, who never ever told a lie in his life, told me that Great Gama of India was the toughest man who ever walked the face of this earth. He was so tough that when he met Stanislaus Zabisco in a shoot, he screamed, Allah, 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 and hit Stanislaus so hard on top of the head that he drove him knee-deep in the mud. That settles it. Great Gama, toughest man in the world ever. Settled.
Kurt, you were there for that match.
Yes, I was. I was in another lifetime. I was a cat in a past life. I was a cat that was perched up on one of the houses nearby, and I didn't have to pay to get in because I had super keen eyesight, just like Gato Eveready. I married a transvestite in Bangladesh. We moved to Bangkok and Thailand.
I just heard you like turn and apologize to your wife.
Yes, I did. I apologized to my wife. Elena, I apologize for what I have done in my past life. I don't necessarily regret them, but I apologize for them.
Kurt, before the show ends, you gotta tell us your cult movie review. Give us your cult movie review.
Oh my Lord! Oh Krishna! Oh, you've got to see this movie. Now, everybody out there knows how much I love zombie movies. Now, there's one thing that zombie movies and porn have in common.
What if you combine zombie movies and porn?
That could be done. That would be fascinating, wouldn't it?
Can zombies do that? I think they still can. I mean,
we'll have to debate that sometime, and we might start a whole new phenomenon. I mean, these zombie walks in parades are becoming really popular. Maybe zombie porn could be the next big
zombie
thing.
Porn. Let's buy the domain name and start putting it up.
There we go. We're there. We're there. As soon as we get off the air, Fredo, you have to register the name.
Porn, and we'll create the ad page. Imagine all those pics you could post on there.
Bitchin'.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Our new business venture.
Oh, we're there. We're there.
Okay, get back to the movie, Doctor.
Okay, now, there's one thing zombie movies and porn have in common. 98% of them are pure crap. They suck badly. They're horrible. But those 2% are things of pure genius. This last weekend I saw a zombie movie from Spain called Rec. R-E-C, as in recording. This is a movie that is shot. It's best way to describe this. It's part Blair Witch Project.
Okay.
Part 28 Days Later, and part Night of the Living Dead. Like Blair Witch Project, it's all filmed through a camera, but not through like an amateur video camera.
Yeah,
what
like
it's one of these. I'm sorry?
Somebody's holding the camera, like they're trying to act like they're holding the camera.
You see the whole thing through a cameraman who is filming like a TV documentary on a night in. A night on patrol with the fire department.
Oh, okay. Where
and the host is an actress named Manuela Velasco, who is cute as a button. She's worth watching the movie alone.
Kurt, let me Google search while you're doing this.
Yes, check it out. Oh, she is a doll. And she's great in this role. It's one of these reality TV series where they're just going to ride along with the fire department for the night and expecting nothing to happen. They're called to an apartment where they hear a lady screaming, and they go into the apartment to go help the lady. And before they know it, the camera crew, the fire department, all the inhabitants of the apartment building are locked in. The police and the military have surrounded the building and will not let them out. They are quarantined.
I think I've heard of this movie.
Well, you know what? It was remade under the name Quarantine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that movie.
Yeah, and I've heard reviews of that movie, and I've heard reviews of Rec. Okay. I have not seen Quarantine. I heard that Rec is the one to check out. I heard the...
maybe I'll rent that, get that on Netflix.
It's so worth it. It's so worth it. So that's where the Blair Witch feel comes into it.
Okay.
The 28 Days Later feel comes into it is because somewhere in the building there is an infection, and the zombies are very much like the 28 Days zombies who are infected with something, they don't know what, and they're just coming after you. Oh. It has the Night of the Living Dead feel in it because of the claustrophobia. I don't know, Fredo, if you ever saw the original Night of the Living Dead.
No, I've never seen it.
Well, is it in
black
classic.
And white?
It's black and white.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Oh, you must see it. It's a classic. And one of the things I think makes a really awesome zombie movies, one, is the element of surprise. Hey, the dead are coming back to life. What the fuck? Let's get out of here. And then the survival aspect, trying to keep them from getting into wherever you're hiding, trying to hold them off. Those are the two things I think are so essential in a great zombie flick. I know there's been a lot of really cute and clever zombie movies where, you know, zombies are part of society or they're something that have been around for a while and, you know, they try to reinvent the wheel. But a good old-fashioned plot, it's a lot like wrestling psychology, a good old-fashioned plot of what the hell made the dead come back to life and how do we keep them away. And this movie does that beautifully. The way they're all locked up in the apartment building and have nowhere to go is reminiscent of Night of the Living Dead, where they're all holed up in a house just trying to keep the zombies out of their faces and out of their entrails.
It's like an apartment building, right? A complex?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So they can run around different places.
Oh, yeah. There's different places to hide, different,
okay,
you know.
Okay. Because I always hate when it's just like one place.
Yeah.
Or when they're running around the city, you know, like trying to find a place.
Exactly. And in a lot of these movies, isn't it funny how suddenly everybody who's fighting the zombies knows kung fu?
Yeah.
You know, people who are accountants suddenly are like, you know,
or they
doing roundhouse kicks. Huh?
Or they can just fight. I mean, most people can't fight, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's great about this movie is everybody in here is just an average Joe with the exception of the fire department and the police.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to say too much more about it, but this is not just your, you know, blood and guts, splatter, eat zombies. This is a really, really good movie. This is easily one of the best 10 zombie movies I have seen.
Kurt, have you watched Watchmen?
Yes, I saw the movie when it came out.
Yeah, you did? What'd you think?
I don't know if I was expecting too much from it. There are parts I liked.
You read the book, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I have the book.
I didn't read it either. I don't plan on reading it either. So
a friend of me, when I was laid up with my lymphoma, my good friend Philip, friend since high school, sent me the book for something to read.
Oh.
Actually, he sent me a lot of cool stuff to keep me occupied while I was incarcerated in my house, trying to stave off lymphoma and zombies.
Oh, that's really cool.
But I never got around to reading The Watchmen.
Yeah.
But I did see the movie with my bro-in-law when it came out. There were parts I liked, but it didn't grab me as a whole.
my Judy watched it. Judy, my sister, she watched it, and this was her review. It was boring, and I tell her, so did you watch the whole thing? No, I fell asleep. That's why I didn't like it. So my whole point was like, how can you say you don't like it if you didn't finish watching the whole movie?
That's a good point.
Because I saw that it was 2 hours 43 minutes long, and I knew she didn't make it past about the hour and a half. Because I think it's a lot. Like I think that there's too much of it. You know, I think they wanted to give you a lot of background behind each character and everything.
Yeah,
I think they wanted to please all the comic book readers.
That was my impression too. Because as I was watching it, the thing that kept running through my head is, I wonder if I should have read the graphic novel first. I wonder if I'd appreciate it more. I heard there was a big debate within the community of people who loved the graphic novel. I guess they were really torn. Some of them absolutely loved the film, and others just thought it was sacrilege. And since I never read the book, I have no take on it. But
I thought it was better than some of those other comic book movies that they've been releasing.
They do some pretty bad ones.
Yeah, like the Hulk really sucked. Yeah, I mean, even the second one kind of sucked.
Yeah, I never saw the first one with Ang Lee, which I heard was terrible.
The first one is, like, really bad.
Yeah, I heard that's unwatchable. And of all people, Ang Lee, who's a great director.
The second one with Ed Norton and Tim Roth is, I think, because I like Tim Roth.
Yeah.
And Ed Norton is pretty good.
I've always liked Ed Norton, too, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, even though Ed Norton, I always hear he's, like, a big jerk and everything. But
he's a good actor, though, I think.
Yeah. And then, like, the X-Men, I mean, you know, what more do you want? I mean,
yes, exactly.
Kids. I mean, you know, well, that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of us forget that's geared for kids, but I mean, I think they forget that everybody who grew up watching that is now like in their 30s, late 20s.
It's true.
30s, 40s.
It feels so recent. You know, the only graphic novel I ever read with a passion was the Hernandez brothers, Jamie and Gilbert Hernandez, who did Love and Rockets. And I'll be the first to admit the first thing that drew me to those comics is a had a lot of backstories or, subplots involving lucha libre. And it was really cool because when you read them, you could really tell these guys at one point had a passion for wrestling. In fact, Gilbert Hernandez did a hysterical comic about the time he and his wife Carol, when they were dating, went to a WWF match in the mid-'80s, and they went up to take pictures of Adrian Adonis, and Adonis was, I guess, just blasted out of his mind that night.
Oh, God.
In fact, that night is legendary for anybody who was there at the LA Sports Arena. I guess Adonis was like beating the shit out of a phone booth in the LA Sports Arena and was just like getting in people's faces and trying to set them off. And
this was Adrian Adonis during the biker era, wasn't it?
The biker era. This was maybe about a year before he did Adorable Adrian Adonis. It was when he was really getting out of hand, but apparently Gilbert's wife went up to take his picture, and he started cussing them out. And I remember talking to Gilbert's wife about that once, and she said she just felt so bad for him because they were dating at the time, and here's this guy just just cussing at you and your girlfriend, and you can't do anything about it. It's Adrian Adonis. And
you can't talk back.
Exactly, and he's drunk and coked out of his mind.
Beat the crap out of you.
Yeah, and he wrestled, I remember he wrestled Billy Anderson that night.
Wow.
And I talked to Billy Anderson about it, and Anderson said he was really reluctant to work with Adonis, but Strongbow, who was the road agent then, did everything short of walking Adonis to the ring and promised Anderson, I'm going to make sure you're taken care of. You're not going to get hurt. He said the most amazing part was Adonis was light as a feather in the ring that night, which was amazing because I know Adonis was rough on a lot of jobbers, including Anderson. But apparently that night, he was light with Anderson, but was in everybody else's face. But
oh my God.
But anyway, that's
a good one.
That was a good one. That was a great Love and Rockets comic. Talking about the night they had the run-in with Adrian Adonis. And actually, anybody who's into wrestling and, digs the whole graphic novel thing, Hernandez Brothers, not just the wrestling stories, their whole graphic novels are just kick-ass, are great, great stuff.
We're going to have to do a show where we talk about, books.
We should, because last week we were talking about maybe doing some shows on the Santo movies. Maybe we could kind of, we were going to do one on books, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I think you brought up, the week you did, you brought up Mildred Burke, I think. Yes.
The book, and then we said, hey, maybe we should do it, but then we started talking about all this other stuff.
As we're wont to do, as we do in many episodes.
As we always go past the 1 hour mark, too.
Exactly, as we're doing as we speak.
Yeah.
But, we will have to do. We will have to, cover books, the graphic novels, wrestling cinema.
The porn book I'm reading that you let me borrow earlier, a couple of months ago.
Oh, yes, The Other Hollywood, which is a great book.
I couldn't get past the first chapter because I was a little grossed out by Linda Lovelace. and then afterwards, I started reading it yesterday. I started rereading it. I started going over it again. I was getting into
I'm glad you gave it another shot because it's a really well-written book, all written in the first-person narrative through various people in the adult entertainment industry from the early 70s to present day.
I just think that the first part where you find out how Linda Lovelace, the first thing she ever did, just okay.
That's a pretty tough one.
Isn't it there's certain phases to getting into porn, and that's I think that's the last choice, isn't it? That's the final step.
Yeah, well, it's
bestiality.
It sounds to me like a very diverse industry. There's so many different ways people have entered it and exited it. But yeah, it was done by Legs McNeil, and I can't remember the name of the woman he wrote it with. But all done through first-person narratives through various people involved in the industry, and very well organized, very good narrative on the industry.
Yeah,
any of you interested in reading about a whole different subculture, that's a good place to go. The Other Hollywood.
We'll do the book one once I read the Jim Cornette book.
Yes. In fact, I have Cornette's site up here, so as soon as we sign off here, that's where I'm going, and I'm ordering that book.
Whichever one of us reads it first, we'll review it.
That sounds wonderful. And I know Dan Farron has it, so we will have to get Dan on the line one of these weeks. Maybe we could all discuss it together. That would be a really fun book to discuss.
We could have 4 extra callers call in at the same time and have like a round table, a reading round table, where we can all talk over one another.
Yeah, that would be great. We can all talk over one another, and my goal now is not to become like Jim Cornette, but to become as good a delivery person as far as the verbiage goes.
Uh-huh.
As now I'm sitting here stumbling over my words again, stammering. That's what I want to cure myself of. That's my goal every week, is to get a little more eloquent with each passing week.
The podcast isn't just an entertainment tool. It's also an instructional tool.
Exactly. It's an instructional vehicle.
Yep, we're going to get rid of your stumbling really soon with this.
That's right. And my wife, Elena, who is a speech therapist, will be very proud.
Is probably going to hear this podcast and she's going to take notes on what she did wrong.
And she'll probably point out all those things I didn't even realize I was doing, and I'll feel further humiliated, and I'll stammer further on future podcasts.
There you go.
Well, I guess this is sign-off time.
Go ahead.
So, plug your site.
My website's, again, luchaworld.com, and DVDs, for all the latest DVDs, slambamjam.com. Kurt? StanTheEmbryo.com. All sorts of good stuff, historical timelines, commentaries, rants, just a lot of shallow literature that I hope you will all embrace. www.StanTheEmbryo.com. This is Vandal Drummond and Fredo Esparza. Until next Thursday night. You don't have anything to say now?
I have absolutely nothing intelligent to say. Actually, I never have anything intelligent to say.
We need the big sign-off, or should I play some music to sign us out?
I'll do the sign-off. Remember, if you're ever walking through Southern California and you see a white light streaking across the sky, it's not a shooting star. No, it's not a shooting star. It's a heavenly handful of Moncel powder. Have a great week, my babies. See you soon.